Stayed down, came up, God made a way. Stayed down, came up, God made a way. Stayed down, came up, God made a way. Let me tell you about it. You can sit and wait around, or you can make it happen. I've been walking in the spirit, ain't no way around it. And it's up, yeah. And it's up, yeah, yeah. Hey, pedal to the metal, headed to the top.
What's going on, everybody? This is Alexi Smith with Freedom Financial. We got a new series that we're going to be doing for you guys called Faith in Finance. We're going to be going over some principles that you need to learn about your finance, as far as financial literacy, and we're going to be getting them directly from the Bible, which hopefully everybody's reading, right? So just last year, it was my first time reading the Bible, not reading the Bible. I've been reading the Bible since I was a little kid, but it was my first year reading the entire Bible. I'm actually interested to know, have you read the entire Bible from cover to cover, like straight? Right. I know a lot of people, we read verses in the Bible, or we might read, a book here and there. But have you read this entire book? Right. Because I actually did that last year. It took me about 3 months to get through the whole Bible. It was a phenomenal experience. I definitely recommend everybody doing it. But before you do that, we're going to give you some tips when it comes to your finances. What does the Bible say about your finances? But let's get right into it. So obviously, there's a lot of different Bible verses that talk about financial literacy or that talk about finance in the Bible. We're just going to focus on a couple of them today. So the 3 verses that we're going to be going over happen to all be in Proverbs. So if you got your Bibles, you can turn to Proverbs, or if you're going to do it on your phone, you can, check it out on your phone as well. So we got 3 different verses we're going to go over. The first one happens to be Proverbs 13:22, which says that a good man will leave an inheritance for his children's children. So what the Bible is telling us, number one, we got to have an inheritance to leave, right? So we got to have our finances in order. We got to be doing things right with our finances, but then we got to leave something for not just our kids, but our grandkids, right? So a couple ways you can do that. Number one, having a will in place, right? Making sure that your estate is in order as far as estate planning. And another way you can do this, right, is with life insurance, but not just life insurance for yourself, but life insurance for your kids as well. So that's another way that you can do that. So like I said, the first verse is Proverbs 13:22. A good man will leave an inheritance for his children's children. All right, so the second verse we're going to be going over is Proverbs 21, verse 5, right, which it says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. So what the Bible is trying to tell us is we got to have a plan in place, right? You don't want to rush about when you're doing things, right? We hear a lot in the Bible about sowing and reaping, which has to do with farming. And if you ever planted something before, or you just know how plants work, when you plant a seed, it doesn't grow or give you fruit the next day, right? So certain plants, right, it's going to take at least a couple months, some maybe even a couple years. So you got to have patience, you got to have plans, and that's the biggest thing when you're thinking about your finances, you want to have a plan in place, right? So then once again, that's Proverbs 21, verse 5. Last one that we're going to be going over today, once again in Proverbs, this is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 20. And I actually got 2 different versions for you guys. I got the NIV version and the King James version, which I'm going to go over both. I like them both, right? So here it goes. It says, for NIV first, the wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down, right? And then the King James version says, there is a treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up, right? So what the Bible is trying to tell us with this verse is it's important for us to save, right? A wise man, right, is going to save. They're not just going to spend everything, right? So you got to save, guys. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can save. There's different amounts you can save. Some people say save 10%. Some say up to 30%. Regardless of what you're saving, you got to save something. Because guess what? If you save nothing, guess how much you're going to have later? Nothing, right? So we got to save something. And then other than that, we got to make sure that we're paying attention to the future. All right, so these were the 3 verses we had for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, right? So I want you to comment below. Have you heard of these 3 verses before? Have you never heard of these 3 verses before? We're going to be starting a dialogue here. So like I mentioned, this is a series. So we're going to have a few other videos going over different verses that highlights different aspects when it comes to financial literacy. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe as well. Have a blessed day.